Hello everyone, welcome back to HM Commerce Education. This is CA Mani Chandana. Yes, we shall continue with your Companies Act 2013. Okay, we have to start with the classification of companies on the basis of control, right? Classification of companies on the basis of control. Okay, we do have holding and subsidiary companies and associate companies under this. Okay, holding and subsidiary companies and associate companies. Okay, ma'am, what is this concept? Basically, what is this holding and subsidiary? What are we talking about? Children, before we study something from the book, I'll just tell you something. See, have you ever been to circus? Circus, yes, you have these animals where, you see all these monkeys and elephants and all of these animals play in the circus. What happens is they dance to the tunes of their master. These animals, they dance to the tunes of their master. Yes or no? So the animal there, who whatever is performing in that particular circus, it has been trained and it listens to its master. It listens to its master and it acts as per the wishes of the master. Yes, one example. The other example, if I have to tell you, same between a husband and a wife. Husband and wife, who controls whom? Who controls whom? Wife controls husband or husband controls wife? Okay, usually it is wife who controls the husband. Say, for example, if you take your mom and dad, your parents, okay? In few situations, in most of the situations, your mom would be controlling your dad in many situations, right? So, what are these examples I'm trying to give you? Ma'am, why are you giving us all of these examples? See, children, when I spoke about the first example, that is in circus, the example of those monkeys who dance to the, wishes, who act in the, who act for the wishes of these masters, it is nothing but that master is controlling this particular animal. Yes or no? So if he wants the animal to jump in a certain way, he tells the animal and it jumps in a certain way. Yes, if it has to perform in a certain manner, this master is controlling that particular animal. Yes or no? And then the second example, I spoke about husband and wife. Husband and wife, who is controlling whom? Say, for example, in few families, mother would be controlling the father, and in few families, father would be controlling the mother. Yes, similarly, this what am I trying to tell you is there is certain amount of control. There is certain amount of control of one party over the other. There is certain amount of control over one party over the other. Yes, keeping this concept in mind, let us study this particular topic. Okay, what is the topic? Holding and subsidiary control. We are talking classification of companies on the basis of what? On the basis of control. On the basis of control. Yes, ma'am. Holding and subsidiary companies. Children, what is this holding and subsidiary companies? See, these holding and subsidiary companies are relative terms. They're using something called relative terms. Meaning what? See, if you have to understand one topic, you have to know the other. If you have to understand this topic, you have to know the other topic. It's like if you have to understand holding company, you need the help of subsidiary company. If you have to understand what is subsidiary company, you need to understand what is a holding company. Getting my point? You will understand what I'm trying to tell. Let's read the definition. Okay, let's read the definition of holding company. Okay, a holding company is, a company is a holding company in relation to one or more other companies, means a company of which such companies are subsidiary companies. Ma'am, we did not understand. Very good. If you have not understood, great. Very good. Okay, it's okay. Well, I just read the definition. Now let's read the definition of subsidiary company. Now let's read the definition of subsidiary company. Okay. Whereas section 287 defines subsidiary company in relation to any other company, that is to say the holding company. They're talking in relation to any other company. That is to say the holding company means a company, meaning what? Subsidiary company in relation to any other company. That is nothing but holding company means a company in which, the holding company controls the composition of the board of directors. controls the composition of the board of directors, or exercises or controls more than one half of the total voting power, either on its own or together with one or more of its subsidiary companies. Ma'am, this also we have not understood. Ma'am, this also we have not understood. It's okay. Let me explain it to you all. Right? Let's just open a clean page and let me write it down for you. We're talking about subsidiary company, yes or no? Yes, we're talking about subsidiary company. I'll just write. Okay. Okay. Subsidiary company. Okay. Subsidiary company in relation to any other company, meaning, okay, subsidiary company in relation to holding company means a company, okay, it means a company in which, okay, we'll write it here, in relation to holding company means a company, in which the holding company, write down, okay, in which the holding company controls the composition of board of directors. I'm writing it as BOD. BOD meaning board of directors. Or there is one more point. Okay, this is or here. Okay, or meaning what, ma'am? If any one of the condition is satisfied, then it is a subsidiary company. It is not two. It is not and. And meaning both the conditions should be satisfied. If it is or, any one of the condition has to be satisfied. What is the other one? Or exercises or controls more than half of voting power Okay, now this could be on its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries. Okay, this is what we have learned. This is what we have read. You have not understood anything. I know that. Okay, now let me read it again. Okay, now what are we talking about? We're discussing about holding company or subsidiary company now. Ma'am, subsidiary company. Very good. See, subsidiary company. What do you mean by subsidiary? We are the holding and subsidiary company are relative terms. Yes. So if we have to learn subsidiary company, we need the help of holding company. Yes, ma'am. So subsidiary company in relation to holding company means a company. In which the holding company controls the composition of board of directors. Meaning, say for example, there is one company called H Limited. And there is one more company called S Limited. There is one company called H Limited and there is one more company called S Limited. Now, this S Limited will become subsidiary of H Limited if H Limited controls the composition of board of directors or exercises or controls more than half of the voting power on its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries. So this is called holding company. H Limited, holding company. S Limited, subsidiary company. So this S Limited is called a subsidiary company when the holding company controls the composition of the board of directors or exercises or controls more than one half of the voting power either on its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries. Okay, ma'am, you're telling Controls the composition of board of directors. Controls the composition of board of directors. What do you mean by controls the composition of board of directors? What do you mean by controls the composition of the board of directors? Meaning that this particular company H Limited has the authority or power. It has the power to appoint or remove, yes, all or majority of the board of directors, majority of the directors. Okay, majority of the majority of the directors. Getting my point? Meaning to say, this H Limited has the power. If you have to tell that H Limited is the holding company of S Limited, it means to say this H Limited has the power to appoint or remove all, meaning all of the directors, or could be majority of the directors of S Limited. If H Limited has that power, then it means to say it controls the composition of the board of directors. Getting my point? Then S Limited will become subsidiary of H Limited. This point clear? Everyone, this point is clear. Controls the composition of board of directors. Yes, ma'am, we are clear. Now let's come to the second half of the definition. What is that? Okay, see, what is it trying to tell you is, this company H Limited exercises or controls more than half of the voting power. Ma'am, what is this voting power? What do you mean by this voting power? See, children, every shareholders, obviously the shareholders, I mean equity shareholders. I mean, when I say shareholders, I'm referring to equity shareholders. So these equity shareholders, they have the power to vote in the meeting. Meaning their votes are considered when taking decisions, okay. Now these equity shareholders, there are certain equity shareholders with differential voting rights. But usually how it happens is, if I have one share, I will get one vote. If I have 100 shares, I will have 100 votes. Basically, this is how it works. But there are certain shares called DVRs, meaning shares with differential voting rights. Shares with, you don't have to go in depth, you don't have to know so much at this basic level CA foundation. But just for your information, I'm telling you this. What is the importance of this voting power is that, just because there are certain equity shares with differential voting rights, considering them, what is the differential voting rights? I've told you so much, I'll also tell what is it. Say, for example, these shares with differential voting rights, say probably I would be given, if the differential voting ratio is 10:1, so I will get 10 votes. I will get 10 votes for one share. Getting it? Or say, for example, 5:1, meaning I will get 5 votes for one share. Getting my point? Or could be the other way also. Say, for example, 1:10, meaning I'll get only one share for 10 I'll get only one vote. Sorry, my mistake. I'll get only one vote for 10 equity shares, 10 shares. Getting my point? Or 1:5, meaning I'll get only one vote even if I have 5 shares. So we are not telling paid up share capital. It was actually before amendment, it was like exercises or controls more than half of the share capital. Basically, the paid up share capital. That is very simple. If one company holds more than 50% of the paid up share capital, then that company will become the holding company of the other company. This is very simple. But that they changed it to voting power. Ma'am, why? Because of these differential shares with differential voting rights. Okay. Now, what they're trying to tell you is, if you have control over more than half of the voting power of the other company, then you are told to be the holding company of that other company. Getting my point? Getting my point? So if you have basically say if we ignore this voting power, everything aside, if we talk just equity equity shares, no shares with differential voting rights, they are only normal equity shares, then I can also tell I hold more than 50% of the paid up share capital of the other company. Now I am said to exercise more than I am the holding company of the other company. This much is clear. Yes, yes, ma'am. Okay, see. So now yeah, so now if H Limited controls or exercises more than half of the voting power, that is either on its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries. Ma'am, what is this? What are they trying to tell you here? See, for example, there is A Limited. There is A Limited and A Limited and B Limited. Okay. Now, B Limited is 100% wholly owned subsidiary. Wholly owned subsidiary. Now, what is this wholly owned subsidiary? What do you mean by that? Wholly owned subsidiary meaning the entire share capital of B Limited is held by A Limited. Meaning it is wholly owned subsidiary of A Limited. B Limited is the wholly owned subsidiary of A Limited. Okay. Now, right. What I wanted to tell you here is, one second. Okay. Now A Limited is the B Limited is the wholly owned subsidiary of A Limited. Now B Limited holds say for example 45% voting rights in C Limited. B Limited holds let me make some space and let us do it here, okay, so that it will be more clear for you. Okay, say for example there is A Limited, okay, and there is B Limited. There is A Limited, there is B Limited. B Limited is the subsidiary of A Limited, wholly owned subsidiary of A Limited. Okay, now this B Limited holds, say for example, 45% of voting rights in C Limited. Whereas A Limited holds around, say for example, 16% voting rights in C Limited. Okay. B Limited holds how much? 45% of voting rights in C Limited. A Limited holds 16% voting rights in which company? C Limited. Now this C Limited is the subsidiary. Now this C Limited is the subsidiary of A Limited. Ma'am, how? Ma'am, how? See here. Exercises or controls more than half of the voting power on its own. Either on its own is very simple. A Limited, B Limited. A Limited, B Limited. If this holds more than 50% of voting power, obviously this B Limited will become the subsidiary of A Limited. That we agree. What about this? What about this point? Together with one or more of its subsidiaries. See, for example, A Limited along with B Limited holds more than, see, 45 plus 16. How much is that? 61%. Yes or no? Yeah, 61% of voting rights. So A Limited along with B Limited holds more than 50% of the total voting rights of C Limited. Now C Limited is called the subsidiary of A Limited. Clear? Children, clear? Yes, the second point is also clear. Okay, fine. So now you come to the book. If you want to write down this, you can take a picture of this. Okay, you can take a picture of this and then you can make a note in your book. Okay, this is not required. This is not required because I have written it down here in detail. Okay, done? Fine. Okay, now come to your material. Okay, where were we? Yeah, fine. So we were discussing about subsidiary company. Subsidiary company in relation to any other company means a company in which the holding company controls the composition of board of directors. Meaning what? It can either appoint or remove either all or majority of the directors, right? Also, the second point, what is the second point? Exercises or controls more than one half of the total voting power, either at its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries. Clear? Yes, provided that such class or classes of companies as may be prescribed shall not have layers of subsidiary beyond such numbers as may be prescribed, that you do not have the rules, whatever is prescribed, you do not have all of it, so you don't have to worry much about it. You can ignore. Okay. For the purposes of this section, a company shall be deemed to be a subsidiary of the holding company, even if the control referred to in subclause 1 and subclause 2. Ma'am, what is this subclause 1 and subclause 2? Children, this is subclause 1 and this is subclause 2. Okay, subclause 2 is of another subsidiary company of the holding company. Ma'am, what are they talking about? What are they trying to tell? I think there is an example here itself. See, say for example, listen to this particular example. There is one company called A Limited. There is one company called A Limited. There is one more company called B Limited. And there is one more company called C Limited. Okay, fine. Now, this B Limited is a subsidiary of A. B is a subsidiary of A. B is a subsidiary of A. C is a subsidiary of B. C is the subsidiary of B. Right? Now you tell me, will this C also be the subsidiary of A? B is the subsidiary of A. C is the subsidiary of B. Now, is C also the subsidiary of A? Yes or no? A is equal to B, A is equal to B, B is equal to C. Now tell me, A is equal to C or not? Yes or no? Right? Yes? Yes, ma'am. See now, in the same manner, now B is the subsidiary of A. Now B is a subsidiary of A. C is the subsidiary of B. D is a subsidiary of C. Now, D will be subsidiary of B also. D will be subsidiary of A also. Right? Correct? Getting my point? Now you read. See, company shall be deemed to be a subsidiary of the holding company, even if the control referred to in subclause 1 and 2. You know, what is that? Obviously, you are talking about one is the board of directors, the other one is the voting power, is of another subsidiary company of the holding company, meaning A, B and C. Now you see, this control is exercised by B. See, so for we are telling C is a subsidiary of A. C is a subsidiary of A. This is the final conclusion. Therefore, C is a subsidiary of A is what we are trying to conclude. Now listen. For A to become the subsidiary of C, here B, which is a subsidiary of A, is controlling the board of directors or is having more than one half of the voting power in C Limited. Getting my point? C is of another subsidiary of the holding company. Which is that another company? Another company is B Limited. Another company is B Limited of A Limited. Okay, this is C Limited. Now you read. A company, meaning C Limited, shall be deemed to the subsidiary of the holding company, that is A Limited, even if control referred to in subclause 1 or B is of another subsidiary company, which is that B Limited, of the holding company. Of the holding company is A Limited. Simple. If the law language is slightly difficult for you to understand, but the concept is very clear. This is nothing but the chain holding. We call it as chain holding. If A holds, if A is the holding company of B and B is the holding company of C, C will become the subsidiary company of A Limited. Getting my point? Yes, clear. Very simple. Yes, simple. Huh? Very simple. Okay. Fine. Okay. Read the next line. The composition of the boards of a company's board of directors shall be deemed to be controlled by another company. That's what I told you all this while. If that other company, meaning the holding company, by exercise of some power exercisable by it at its discretion, can appoint or remove either all or majority of the directors of the subsidiary company. Getting my point? Yes. Okay. Next, the expression company includes body corporate. Okay. They're telling whenever they tell a company, it includes body corporate as well. Okay, fine. Layer in relation to holding company means it's subsidiary or subsidiaries. Fine. Okay. Layer, obviously, one below could be layer companies, this one, then D. Yes, all of these are subsidiary. It means it's subsidiary or subsidiaries. Okay, fine. Clear? Holding and subsidiary is clear now? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now, let's just see the examples. A will be subsidiary of B if B controls the composition of the board of directors of A. Yes, that is what we have learned. That is, if B can, without the consent or approval of any other person, appoint or remove the majority of the directors of A, majority or all of the directors of A, then what do we call? Yeah, what do we call? A is the subsidiary company of B Limited. Correct? Understood? That is what we have discussed all this while. Yes, ma'am. Okay, A will be subsidiary of B if B holds more than 50% of the share capital of A. See, they are telling it share capital. See, it's nothing. Voting power. The definition is voting power. You have, in your examination, be very careful. You have to write voting power. But for your understanding, you can take it as share capital, because if there are no shares with differential voting, right? It's okay if you tell share capital also. But in your examination, please make sure you write this particular word: total voting power. Yes, clear? Yes, ma'am. Okay, next example. B is a subsidiary of A and C is a subsidiary of B. In such case, C will be the subsidiary of A. In the like manner, if D is a subsidiary of C, D will be subsidiary of B as well as A, and so on. That is what I have explained it to you here. This example. Okay. Right? Understood? Understood, everyone? Yes? Okay, very good. So if you have understood holding and subsidiary, let's get back to the yesterday's topic, which I have not completed, that is small company. Oh, you all remember what is small company? Have you revised? Have you revised, children? Okay, if you have revised, very good. Okay, let me tell it to you again, because I just cannot uh, I cannot skip the main thing and I cannot come to exceptions. Okay, first let us discuss what is a small company and later we can go ahead. Okay, small company, right? Okay, here we were seeing paid up share capital and turnover, right? Paid up share capital should not exceed what? How much is it? 4 crore. Not exceeding 4 crore. Turnover not exceeding 40 crore. Yes, not exceeding 40 crore. Now, okay, this is what we have learned yesterday. Do you remember? Paid up share capital which does not exceed 50 lakh rupees or such higher amount as may be prescribed. What is the prescribed amount as of now? According to the rules, according to the company's rules, amendment rules 2022, what is the amount prescribed? 4 crore for paid up share capital and rupees 40 crore for turnover. Yes or no? We have learned this. Now, let us take few examples, children. I'll just give you certain examples. Let me see if you can answer them. Okay. Sorry. Okay, fine. You will have to tell me if it is a small company or not. Okay, fine. Paid up share capital and turnover. Paid up share capital and turnover. One second. Okay. Paid up share capital and turnover. Let's take the first example. A private limited. Okay, one more. Did I highlight this? Small company should always be, it should not be a public company. Small company cannot be a public company. This is very important, children. I don't know if I've explained. I should have. I don't know. Just I'm repeating it again. Okay. Come again. Small company is defined under Companies Act as, which means a company other than public company. Which means a company other than public company. Meaning, if a company is a public company, even though even though the paid up share capital is less than 4 crore, even though the turnover is less than 40 crore, even though it is less than 4 crore or 40 crore, it cannot be called a small company. It is not a small company. If a company is a public company, it cannot be classified as a small company. It does not satisfy the definition of a small company. Please make this clear. Please make this point very clear. Okay, the first one is small company means a company other than public company. Other than public company. And again, after this, you have to see these two conditions. The first one being paid up share capital, which shall not exceed 4 crore, and turnover for the immediately preceding financial year does not exceed 40 crore, does not exceed 40 crore. Getting my point? Yes, yes or no? Okay, now let me give you certain examples. Okay, now A private limited, A private limited, okay, has a paid up share capital of say 2 crore, okay, and turnover of say 50 crore, okay. Now tell me whether this A private limited is a small company or not. Whether this A private limited is a small company or not. See children, paid up share capital is 2 crore. Paid up share capital is 2 crore. Well within the limit. Yes, but and this is and. Yes or no? Where is it? Where is this? And it is not or. So to satisfy both the conditions, yes, this is 50. This is 50, which should not be more than 40. So this is 50. So is this company a small company? No. No. This A private limited is not a small company, right? Let's take one more example. Okay. Say for example, B private limited. B private limited. Okay. Say for example, paid up share capital is 5 crore. Paid up share capital is 5 crore and turnover is say for example 10 crore. Turnover is 10 crore. Now tell me whether this is a small company or not. 5 crore. Will this satisfy the condition? No, ma'am. You don't even have to see the next condition, right? Even though this satisfies, still it is not a small company. Okay, getting my point? Next example. C limited. C limited. Paid up share capital of say 3 crore and turnover of say rupees 20 crore. C limited paid up share capital of 3 crore and turnover of 20 crore. Is this a small company? Is this C limited a small company? Yes, if you are thinking, yes, this is a small company, you must gugu innobrilla. You must gugu innobrilla, meaning a brainless fellows, listen, see here, what am I telling? Okay, fine, paid up share capital is 3 crore, well within the limit. Okay, turnover is 20 crore, well within the limit. Ma'am, small company, no ma'am. What ma'am? You don't know anything, ma'am. What are you teaching, ma'am? No, children. See properly. Open your eyes and see. I have told C limited. Did I tell C private limited? Did I tell C limited or C private limited? C limited, meaning this is not a private company, meaning C limited is a public company. So if a company is a public company, can it be a small company? No, it cannot be a small company. So even C limited is not a small company, right? Getting my point? Okay, the last example, I'll give it here. Okay, so for example, D private limited. D private limited paid up share capital, say for example of 2 crore, paid up share capital of 2 crore and turnover of say for example 20 crore. 2 crore, 20 crore. Now tell me if this will satisfy the definition of small company. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, ma'am. Is it a private company? Is it a public company? No, ma'am. It is not a public company. It is a private company. Yes or no? Is the paid up share capital within the limit of 4 crore? Yes, ma'am. So this will also satisfy. Whether this is within the limit of 40 crore? Yes, ma'am. So this will also satisfy. This will also satisfy. Children, please be careful. Be very, 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 very careful. It's a very important topic, small company. Okay, make sure you are clear with the topic, right? Also, while writing your paper, make sure you do not miss out with the key points. Make sure you do not miss out with the key points. See, shall not be more than. This is very important. Shall not be more than. You should not write is equal to 10 crore or is, you can write anything, 50 crore or more. No, it's not. It shall not be more than, not be more than. These are all key points. You have to make sure you use these keywords while giving your while writing your exam. This is a law exam. This is not some history, civics, or whatever your other papers. It is law. In law, you can always see, it's not that you cannot use your own, you cannot frame sentences or frame answers. You can, but there are certain keywords which you have to use while writing your answers in your examination. So, for example, turnover, you have to write turnover only. You cannot write, say, profit. Correct? Yes or no? Then if they're telling immediately preceding financial year, it is for the immediately preceding financial year. It is not for this year. Getting my point? It is very important. You have to quote this particular word. And then which does not exceed, meaning does not exceed only. You cannot write anything else. Getting my point, everyone? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Fine. Now let's come to the exception. Okay, my God. Fine. I actually wanted to explain you this particular point, but I somehow wanted to give you more examples so that it will be more clear for you all. That's the reason. Oh, something happened. I don't think this will be visible for you all. 1 minute. Oh, 1 minute. Okay, fine. Right. So, okay, let's now discuss about the exceptions, right? Fine. I think this should suffice. Okay. Right. Okay. Exceptions. This clause shall not apply to a holding company or a subsidiary company, meaning if a company is a holding company, then it cannot be a small company. Also, if a company is a subsidiary of a holding company, then it cannot be a small company. Clear? So, if a company is a holding company or a subsidiary company, then it cannot be a small company, right? Next, a company registered under Section 8. Section 8 companies, I told you, charitable companies formed for charitable objects, not for profit companies. So we will do that today only. Okay, we will do it today. Okay, so company registered under Section 8. Even these cannot be a small company. Okay. Next, a company or body corporate governed by any special act. Ma'am, examples. Examples could be Children SBI, okay, LIC. All of these are governed by some special acts. So even these cannot be classified as small companies under Companies Act 2013. Clear, everyone? Right? Yes, ma'am. Okay, next. Public company also we discussed yesterday, and I had not discussed this particular point, right? Because this was something related to the holding and subsidy, so I had kept it pending. So let's do it now. Okay, what is a public company? Public company, the definition is very simple. A public company means a company which is not a private company and has a minimum paid up share capital, which may be prescribed, but nothing is prescribed as of now. This much is clear. Okay, let's just read this line first. Okay, provided that a company which is a subsidiary of a company not being a private company shall be deemed to be a public company for the purposes of this act, even where such subsidiary company continues to be a private company in its articles. Ma'am, arthane agilla. Ma'am, arthane agilla. Why, children? Why you did not understand? It's so easy, no? See what they're trying to tell. Provided that a company which is a subsidiary of a company with not being a private company. So, okay, let me please come to, you're in 474 now. Wait, you come to uh, page number 477. Okay, the same thing is written here. Okay, you can read this. Instead of that particular paragraph, you can read this, and you can also write this in your examination. Ma'am, what is this? See, a private company which is a subsidiary of a public company. A private company which is a subsidiary of a public company shall be deemed to be a public company. Now, what are they trying to tell you? See, say for example, there is one company called A Private Limited. There is one company called A Private Limited. Is this a private company? Yes or no? Yes, ma'am, this is a private company. But this A Private Limited is a subsidiary of a public company. Say, for example, X Limited. So X Limited is the holding company, of A Private Limited, meaning A Private Limited is the subsidiary company of X Limited. Yes or no? See, now read again. A private company, that is A Private Limited, which is a subsidiary of a public company. This is a subsidiary of the public company X Limited. Yes, shall be deemed to be a public company. Now, what do you mean by deem? What do you mean by deem? Deem meaning act presumes. The act presumes, even though you are not a public company, even though you're a private company, the act presumes that you are a public company because your holding company is a public company. Getting my point? Yes or no? Everyone? Yes, ma'am. See, a private company which is a subsidiary of a public company shall be deemed to be a public company for the purposes of this act. For this Companies Act, we are treating you as a public company. You are not a private company. So all the public company provisions will be applicable to you. All the sections which are applicable to public company, it will be applicable to you also. You have to follow it. Even though you're a private company, no exemptions, no relaxations for you, because your parent company or your holding company is a public company. So you're also public company. Getting it? Even where such subsidiary company continues to be a private company in its articles. So even in its articles of association, if it is still a private company for the purposes of this act, that a particular private company will be treated as a public company. Okay, clear? So you can go and read this now. It will be more clearer. Okay, a company which is a subsidiary of a company not being a private company, meaning this is a public company. Okay, shall be deemed to be public company. Even though it is a private company, it will be deemed to be a public company for the purposes of this act, even where such subsidiary company continues to be a private company in its articles. Now clear? Very simple. This language could be slightly confusing. You can read that particular paragraph. You can write that particular paragraph instead of this. Everyone clear? Yes. We are done with holding and subsidiary company. We are done with this particular topic. Okay, now the second type of company under the basis of control, the classification of companies on the basis of control is the associate company. Ma'am, what is an associate company? Children, come, let's read. So holding company, again, if you have to understand what is a holding company, you need to know what is a subsidiary company. We know what is a subsidiary company now. Yes, you know all the conditions, the board of director condition, the voting power condition. Now, let's read the definition of the holding company. It's very simple. There is nothing to worry here. Okay, a company is a holding company in relation to one or more other companies. One or more other companies is what? That is subsidiary companies only. Yes or no? Means a company. It means a company of which, it means, say for example, this is H Limited. This is H Limited, holding company, of which such companies are, see, they're talking about such companies, meaning these companies are subsidiary companies, meaning, say for example, S1 Limited, okay, S2 Limited. Okay, so for these companies, for these subsidiary companies, there is one company called holding company. Okay, they're trying to relate. See, read the definition, you will get to know. A company is a holding company. It is a holding company in relation to one or more other companies. What are those other companies? Subsidiary companies only. No, subsidiary companies only. Means a company. What? Which is this company? H Limited, the holding company of such companies which are subsidiary companies. Of such companies which are subsidiary companies. So they're trying to define holding company with the help of subsidiary companies. Getting my point? Yes or no? Simple. Yes, ma'am. Simple. Okay, fine. So if you're done with holding company, now let's start with associate company. Okay. Now let's start with associate company. Okay, associate company. Now what is an associate company? Associate company in relation to another company means a company in which that other company has a significant influence, but which is not a subsidiary company of a company having such influence, and includes a joint venture company. Children, one very important word you will come across here is significant influence. What is the word? Significant influence. What do you mean by significant influence? See, significant influence means control of at least 20%, of at least meaning minimum 20% of the total voting power. Now you know what is the meaning of total voting power. So at least 20%. If the other company has at least 20% controls of at least 20% of the total voting power, or control of participation in the business decision, control of or participation in the business decision. So if the other company has at least 20% of the total voting power, or it has the power to control, or it has the power to participate in the business decision of the company, then this company is called the associate company of the other company. Getting my point? See, say for example, there is A Limited, and there is B Limited. Now, this B Limited is called an associate company, of A Limited if the other company meaning A Limited, if the other company has a significant influence over B Limited. What is significant influence? Significant influence means control of at least 20% of the total voting power, or the power to control or participate in the business decision of the associate company. Getting it? So now let's read the example. Let's now read the definition. So associate company, we are taking the help of the other company. What is that other company? A Limited. So in relation to another company means a company in which the other company has a significant influence. So other company, which is that other company? A Limited has significant influence over this company, B Limited. Then this company B Limited is called an associate company for that other company. Getting my point? Yes, yes or no? Yes. Now, there is one very basic thing which they have written here, this particular point, but which is not a subsidiary company of the company having such influence. Now think. They're telling minimum 20%. They're telling minimum 20% of voting power if you have, then this company will be called the associate company of the main company, of the other company. Or if it can control or participate in the business decisions of the company, then obviously it has influence. Now think, minimum 20% means it can be 70% also. Yes, it can be 50, it can be 60% also. Yes or no? So this company, if it has 70% of, if it holds 70% of the total voting power, obviously it will become a subsidiary company. Obviously, this will become subsidiary company. Yes or no? So if it becomes a subsidiary company, how will it be an associate company? Children, are you getting it? Minimum 20%. Minimum 20, it can be 70% also. It can be 80%. It can be 100% also. So if it is something like this, it will become a subsidiary company, isn't it? How will you call it as an associate company? It is called a subsidiary company. Yes or no? So they are removing that particular thing. So they're removing the subsidiary company from this definition only, but which is not a subsidiary company of the company having such influence. Getting it? Yes, yes, ma'am. And includes a joint venture company, and also includes a joint venture company. Ma'am, what do you mean by joint venture? The expression joint venture means a joint arrangement whereby the parties have joint control of the arrangement, and have rights to the net assets of the arrangement. Say, for example, you enter into joint venture for constructing of a building. Obviously, there are two people. Those two people have rights on the net assets of the arrangement of that particular building. Getting it? So that also includes, this also includes a joint venture company. So associate company also includes a joint venture company. Yes, clear? Everyone? Yes? Yes, ma'am. Fine. Let's do this small topic. Okay, on the basis of access to capital. On the basis of access to capital, right? Okay, fine. Ma'am, what is this? Okay, children, before this, let me give you certain examples of holding and subsidiary company. You know Tata Motors? Yes, Tata Motors. You know TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. Yes, you know Tata Steel. Yes or no? Tata Steel, you know IHCL, Indian Hotels Company Limited, all the Taj hotels and the Ginger hotels, the Gateway, Vivanta, all of these come under This IHCL, those are the brands, whereas this is the company, Indian Hotel Company Limited. Yes, all of these, Tata Communications, there are so many, Tata Motors, Tata Steel, TCS, whatnot. All of these are subsidiaries of Tata Sons Private Limited, Limited. Yes, so all of these companies, Tata is very famous, right? Tata Motors, Tata Steel, all of these are subsidiary companies. All of these are subsidiary companies of which company? Of the holding company, that is Tata Sons Private Limited. Similarly, Reliance is the holding company to so many, Reliance Communication, Reliance Infrastructure. There are so many, Reliance Jio. All of these are subsidiary companies of the Reliance Industries. Getting my point? Just one example I just wanted to give you. I forgot at that point of time. So, right. Okay. So, we are done with holding, subsidiary, associate. Yes. Now, we will come to the next classification, that is classification on the basis of access to capital. The first one being listed company, the next one being unlisted company. Listed company and unlisted company. Now, what do you mean by listed company? Let's read. Okay, as per the definition given in section 2, clause 52 of the Companies Act 2013, it is a company which has any of its securities listed on any recognized stock exchange, Please be very careful when you write the definition. Any of the securities listed on any of the recognized stock exchanges. Getting my point? Ma'am, what do you mean by any securities? Securities meaning, children, it includes shares, it includes bonds, it includes debentures. Yes, it includes debentures, all of these. So, in debentures, there are convertible debentures, there are non-convertible debentures, there are redeemable debentures. Yes, shares, preference shares. In shares, you have equity shares, you have preference shares, you have convertible preference shares, you have unconvertible preference shares. Irredeemable, so you have redeemable preferences. So all of these are securities. All of these are securities. Yes or no? Yes, ma'am. So if any of these securities are listed on any of the recognized stock exchanges, you know what are the stock exchanges? Say for example, Bombay Stock Exchange. Yes, National Stock Exchange. All of these are recognized stock exchanges. All of these are recognized stock exchanges. So if any of your securities, say for example shares, for example bonds, debentures, if they are listed on any recognized stock exchanges, then your company is called a listed company. Your company is called a listed company. Ma'am, examples of listed company. How many examples do you want? Tell me. Open your Grow app, open your Zerodha app, open your Money Control app. You will find all the listed entities. Ma'am, still we want example. Okay, let me give you certain examples. What not? Come on, tell me. Airtel, is it a listed company? Yes. Reliance, is it a listed company? Yes. Tata Motors, yes. Indian Hotels Company Limited, yes. Tata Consultancy Services, yes. Infosys, yes. ITC, yes. Then what not? Hyundai, it just got itself listed. There was IPO of Hyundai just few weeks back, and Swiggy, yes, even Swiggy, I think it is going to open. As of now, I'm not really sure of this, but yeah, Zomato, yes, Swiggy IPO, I think it is coming, right? Okay, and Hyundai, I told about Hyundai. Maruti Suzuki, yes. Then not Suzuki, it's only Maruti. Fine. Anyways, fine. That's okay. Fine. Then what else? What do you want? The other, say for example, M&M. You want HDFC Bank. You want Axis Bank. Yes, what not? You can. The list goes on. All of these are listed. All of these are listed company. They have their securities listed on the recognized stock exchanges in India. Right? Getting my point? Yes, ma'am. Next, provided that such class of companies which have listed or intend to list such class of securities as may be prescribed in consultation with the Securities Exchange Board of India shall not be considered as listed companies. See, children, this particular proviso, for you to understand this, you for your level, it is actually very difficult. But I'll just tell you, this is a amendment which came a few years back. See, what used to happen was initially because of this word, any of its securities. See, even if you understand, it's okay. But just for your information, I'm telling you, because of this word any securities, what used to happen is few companies, even though their equity shares are not listed on the stock exchange, just because certain non-convertible debentures or non-convertible redeemable preference shares, if these were listed on the stock exchanges, they would be called a listed entity. They would be called a listed entity. And for a listed entity, there are n number of conditions, n number of rules to be followed. Getting it? See, their shares are not listed on stock exchanges, but certain non-convertible debentures, non-convertible redeemable preference shares, all of these were listed on the stock exchanges. And there were certain companies where they don't have these equity shares listed on recognized stock exchanges in India, but they were listed in stock exchanges abroad, that is outside India. So even they were called to be listed entities. But this particular proviso, this was an amendment wherein they said, see, as maybe see such companies, class of companies which have listed or intend to list such a class of securities. Now, what are these classes of securities? Say, for example, non-convertible debentures of private company or public company, or say a non-convertible redeemable preference shares of public company, or say, for example, equity shares which are not listed in India but listed outside India. All of these are not considered as listed companies. So the companies whose non-convertible debentures are listed on the stock exchange, whose non-convertible redeemable preference shares are listed in the are listed, or the equity shares which are listed outside India. So all of these companies are excluded, shall not be considered as listed companies. I am sure you wouldn't have understood this because you need little more knowledge to grasp this particular concept, but it's okay. Fine. Just for your information, I've told you, it's okay if you have not understood also. This is telling that there are certain companies which are excluded. The central government has excluded some of the companies. They're not classifying them as listed companies. That's all. Okay. And whereas the word securities as per section 281 of the Companies Act 2013 has been assigned the same meaning as defined in clause H of section 2 of the Securities Contract Act 1950. Don't worry, it will not come. Don't worry. They're telling the word securities, which is defined in section 2 clause 81 of the Companies Act 2013, has been given the same meaning of the securities under the Securities Contract Regulation Act 1950. Same definition, whatever is there under this particular act, that is the same definition which is applicable for the Companies Act securities as well. What is the meaning of securities? They're trying to tell you. That's all. It's okay. Leave it. Okay, fine. Okay, there's one example. Let me just read it for you. Okay, Scan Steel Rods Limited is a public limited company whose shares are listed in the stock exchange, Kolkata Stock Exchange. Here, Scan Steel Rods Limited is a listed company. It becomes a listed company because the shares are listed on the Kolkata Stock Exchange. The reason for calling it listed is because the company and the stock exchange have signed a listing agreement for trading of the shares in the capital market. Now, okay, see children, for your information, I'm telling you, there is something called listing agreement. There is something called listing agreement. Who regulates all of these? SEBI. SEBI is the mother of all of these listed entities. So there is something called listing agreement, which has all the details, and there are so many compliances which the company has to follow. Everything is there. So they sign. Who sign? The company and the recognized stock exchanges. They sign a they sign something called listing agreement. So that for listing their shares in the capital market, not only shares or securities in the capital market. So that is the reason it is called listed company. So that's the reason it is called listed company. Fine. Okay. Okay. Next. The most easiest of all. What is that? Unlisted company. What is an unlisted company? Means a company which is not a listed company. Means a company other than listed company. So if you are not a listed company, all the other companies are unlisted companies. Simple. Very simple. Very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. Okay. Very good. Fine. Yeah.